deconstruction of the Anno Federation administration, located in the Acronom solar system on the planet Charinth. The Anno departments rapidly became separate government and organizational entities, all competing over control focused on economic and national resources and financial support. Therefore, this strategic disadvantage left the once predominant Anno president Astrume without a source of income. Afterwards, Astrume briefly disappeared from known history, until his resurfacing thousands of years later. Meanwhile, back on planet Levento, the home territory of the Nobelium species, they gradually regained their sense of interstellar independence and retraced their steps back, reconnecting to their near-lost ancestors. While God Quinora continues to supervise and protect them, aware of the dangers unknown to her and her home system. Moreover, the Nobelium slowly became more ambitious and wiser over these decades. Relieved from the stress and pressure by the ruthless, Vardichan Anno Fed administration, the Nobeliums continued, inventing more renewable advancements over time. But they still left the aging Grand Fleet of Leventhia, and were unsure whether to keep the dying Star Fleet functional or to be demolished. Thus the new Nobelium Lord Phaiwan Therubansu ordered his species to become civilized and without or with their aging fleet. Thus they had to be ready for any battles or war if necessary. Thus, he affirmed that the current timetable of war and the chaos was over for the time being. Meanwhile, Leventhian god Quinora decided to deactivate the expended Machapican Orbia sphere in the Machapican Regalroyan region, as it fulfilled its usage for now. Meanwhile, Contaglahan II Tarthu was one of the founders of the Balamov group, helping establish the Dahiiluran regime, in opposition to the former Anno administration. Thus they were the following leadership. 8 at Beltama Tamagakayan. 8 Beat Mathunma Thumalna. 8 C Vadao Ho Mingwol. 8D Akairagam Nalmekal. While he let Professor Tutarthu continue to operate at the Akron Biomedical Medical Center, mainly because this institution was a pinnacle of changing the future of the Vardicans, as well as a safe haven shielded from the chokehold of interstellar politics. Therefore, during this supercubic time of the Vardichan species, numerous other, allied species started to immigrate away, most to other neighboring regions and places en masse, causing workforce shortages and economic distress and stagnation at once, causing severe social and economic and political consequences for the already struggling Vardichan species civilization. Following the breaking away from their agriculture culture, they started to begin more becoming anxious. But back in the shadows, the creators and engineers and politicians behind the Department of Aerospace Engineering and Research corporate institution slowly decided to diversify and decentralize the remaining attack and reserve fleets while not severing TIs or connections, as well as the creators and engineers who were responsible for the sponsorship of the untested Crimson Cannon program. They decided to store the crucial maintenance and repair data, information to be hidden away until further notice. Thus the actual Crimson Cannon artillery unit was up for public auction. Therefore, unexpectedly, the 20th Dallard of the Amphibian species, Prijajala Ambalia, offered to take ownership of the weapon for her personal military force. Afterwards, 5-star General Kias was ordered to take over leadership of the Phase 1 Excelsior class dreadnought. Additionally, she requested this new star vessel to have the Crimson Cannon installed as its main weapon. Meanwhile, the 3 main flagships of the Anno, 1 the Piramalaster, 2 the Opthena Hyla, 3 the Mayateriger, all remained as confidential property distanced away from the former Anno. Eventually, the unclaimed Anno flagships became gifts of Vingencitor Offalone, the leader of the Vingencitor faction, before he and these flagships eventually vanished from history entirely. Meanwhile, back at the Pristonwood region, the home space of Pristiniap Keegan Stello, he was on the search to find a sexual partner to be lovers with. However, because of the rarity of his species, he was naturally severely limited. Thus, Keegan Stello was super sexually interested but nothing more than a wishful virgin. Thus he was stuck in a loveless loneliness at this time. Moreover, as well as this, Keegan Stello was an artistic fellow, familiar with the sacred art form of aeroforna fabrication art. He created temporary air art that faded into thin air, while he thought of ways to become more attractive from afar and away. Meanwhile, back on the planet Charinth, the main leadership of the Dahiiluran regime, Contaglahan II Tarthu, Beltama Tamagakayan, Mathunma Thumalna, Vadao Mingwol, Akairagam Nalmekal. Contaglahan II Tarthu, known as the charming, charismatic public speaker, representative, and leader of the Dahiiluran regime, called over all top members to meet him at the mysterious Rathalero region to further grow public engagement and support. Eventually, the strange, active running region, home of the Rathuver species, became accustomed to the fellowship meeting here. However, back on the lonesome planet Levento, the divided and broken civilization of the Nobilium species started to succumb to civil wars and rapid territorial disputes. Moreover, they lost their position as an interstellar powerhouse as a modest species. Thus, this led the youngest era of Nobilium Lord Bansu Tagarij Zitin Mandalai to create and uphold the Warkishan maxims. But this was done too late, as the Nobiliums drowned into civil war and prosperity was out of range, in a last-ditch attempt to keep civility and traditions flowing. Later on, the once great Nobilium species civilization would be laid to rest, remembered only as lost ruins of a dystopian world lost to the networks of history.